Okay, hello everyone. Let me just quickly switch this back over to the webcam. There we go. How are we doing, guys? Got 9 people in the chat currently. I've just been trying to get this thing to load so I can actually see what you guys are saying before I start. Let me know if the volume's coming through loud and clear. I've moved it a lot closer to me than last time because I know a few of you had issues with the volume. Hopefully we shouldn't have that problem again. Right, guys, I've got a few things to go through today, as usual. Hopefully, I can spend a couple of hours with you guys just reeling off some new things I've been looking through relating to the clowns. And also, today, I want to go off on a few other subject matters. Something this channel's always really been about since the beginning, and that's about discovering the truth and how we deal with it. What I want to do is talk about, some advice, really, to give new truthers and people who have been doing this for a while as well. Some things I've learnt over the decade of making these videos and doing my research, which I think some people may need to hear. But we'll get into that a bit later on. To open up, I just want to share with you guys a few articles I've found relating to clown fashion. Yes, if the phrase in the meme clown world had any weight to it before, it definitely has weight to it now. Turns out the clown motif is the latest 2023 fashion trend, and we'll be seeing a lot more of the clown aesthetic for years to come. So let's just get straight into it, guys, and have a look at this. But yeah, this is pretty messed up, but still fun to share anyway. So I'm going to switch the screen here. I'll bring up the articles, and here it is straight away. So what I've been doing on a regular basis is basically just typing in clowns into the news tab on Google and just see what comes up every day. And over the past few months, there's been quite a few things, but this one really stuck out to me. This was only a couple of days ago. This was posted, but it's basically from Elle, which is funny, obviously, because just on a conspiratorial note, the name Elle obviously is quite a significant phrase in the conspiracy world. Elle usually represents of God in some way. I think most angels had El in their names, the Elohim. I just think it's interesting that obviously we're talking about the offspring of fallen angels being the Nephilim, and this article in this magazine called Elle pushing this idea that the clowns are in. But I mean, look at this. Look at these runway models. What on earth are they thinking? Now, obviously, a lot of these things that end up on runways don't make it to real world fashion, but it's the stuff you see, these outlandish outfits on runways, which inspire the fashion you end up seeing in the outlet stores for everyday people like you and me. So scrolling down, let's just read this article. Clowncore is the trend of the season, according to Kristen Bateman. This is published on the 28th of March, only a few days ago. This year is shaping up to be all about clownery in fashion. And it's every bit theatrical. Christopher John Rogers kicked things off in his pre-fall 2023 collection, where the designer unveiled a magical ivory white clown suit, replete with silk flowers for added drama. Now, the theme of the clown has seemingly reached its sartorial peak. It was literally everywhere in the spring 2023 couture show in Paris. Dior presented a fancy clown collar inspired by the wardrobe of Josephine Baker, while Armani fully devoted itself to sparkling harlequin prints and patterns. Chanel's decorative top hats, note that, top hats, and bows spoke to the fantasy of the ringleader. And I've literally just made a episode in my clown series all about the ringleader. Only about a month ago or so. Even Armani's fall 2023 show, which took place in Japan, alluded to the high volume, absurd shapes and silhouettes of the classic character's outfit. And here's a picture of the white silk clown outfit being sported by a model here. So this is from Christopher Rogers' pre-fall 2023 collection. Now, for the unfamiliar, Poirot, the classic pantomime stock character tied to the 17th century Italian troupe of performers in Paris, is perhaps the most fashionable clown of all time. With a deep history of designer references from John Giuliano to Vivienne Westwood, I love the wide range of emotions that the characters represent, says Roger, of the clown suit in his recent collection. We've done this silhouette before in collection 009, but in a multi-hued pink silk gorget, and I thought it would be quite lovely in a fabric with more articulation, like a silk taffeta. I'm always looking in stock characters like Poirot for inspiration, and we thought adding fabric flowers down the centre front would be a lovely addition. Yeah, it's just lovely to dress people up like clowns, of course. It sounds very innocent and harmless, doesn't it, when you just say it like that? But throw in what we know, and all of this just becomes incredibly sinister all of a sudden. It's not what it used to be. It's that classic adage, isn't it? Once your eyes are open, you can't really see what's been well, you can't unsee that which has been seen. Anyway, carrying on. Cool brands in the know are all over clowns as a concept. Consider Bode, which has reinterpreted the iconoclastic clown suit costume time and time again. Likewise, unisex hosiery brand TYT creates magical clown printed tights and skirts in the rainbow of colours with quirky faces that are as funny as they are scary. So even they're acknowledging how terrifying the faces these clowns are. When designer Sasha Mary Bell stumbled upon a jack-in-the-box at her friend's house in Italy, which had been passed down through the generations, she knew she had to do something with it. It was a change from the usual routine of scanning images to create our tights, she confesses. By incorporating a physical object into our process, we were able to add an extra personal touch and connect on a deeper level to the past, which I think makes our clown pieces all the more special. Right, yeah. So anyway, talk about the Jack-in-the-Box. People have mentioned this to me many times. I'm not sure if I have brought it up in a video, but yeah, the Jack-in-the-Box is a classic symbol of a jester trapped within a cube, and it's opened up only by people like ourselves playing with it, basically. So it's not dissimilar, you know, from the devil in the cube, like in Hellraiser. You play with the cube, and then they come for you. You mess with DMT, you're opening up the Jack-in-the-Box, and what comes out is a jester, a joker. Not dissimilar from what people see when they take dimethyltryptamine. It's the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. The Jack in the box is the Nephilim trapped in the fractal matrix. Clear symbology. It's been there for a while. It's a very old toy. It makes you wonder if the person who invented this, what their inspiration was, what the muse was. But yeah, moving on. Clown motifs in fashion definitely aren't new. In fact, the first known clown dates back to the 5th dynasty of Egypt, around 2400 BC. Since the character is so tightly tied to this uniform, it has served as style inspiration for centuries. So here they're saying, you know, clowns have been around since ancient times, thousands of years into the past, you know, the dynasty of Egypt. And obviously we're talking about the Nephilim were around not a dissimilar amount of time ago, you know. Some of the most memorable moments include Westwood experimenting with the Harlequin prints in 1989, and long before that, performers like David Bowie and Freddie Mercury wore outfits inspired by clowns. And switching off from the article there, yes, that's quite an obvious one. A lot of people in the 80s seem to have this wild clown-like fashion to them. A lot of glam rock bands especially, but pretty much most musicians. I mean, here's an example. Here's an image of David Bowie looking as clownish as you possibly could. This looks just like the example of Gloria Jones I showed in my previous video in the film Vamp. You know, she had a similar style going. And yeah, what are they trying to emulate? But the Nephilim, of course. So there was an explosion of clownified fashion on the runways in 2021, and it's only gotten stronger and slightly more bizarre ever since. Bell noticed an uptick in the interest in clowns in 2020 and was quick to jump on it. With bodycon tights and skirts printed with mysterious allusions to the character, it's a movement that's all about having a good time and standing out from the crowd. That's what makes it so fun, she says. If you wear any of our clown pieces, be prepared for some curious stares, but also be ready to embrace your inner circus performer and have a cheeky time. The look is definitely not without the influence of TikTok. In the midst of COVID-19, many maximalist fashion lovers on the platform fully committed to clowncore. And yeah, stopping there, I did talk about this in one of my previous videos again. In fact, it was one of the first ones I made when I came back, talking about the Multicolored Collective. And I do touch on the people who are into clown core and dressing like a clown and identifying as a clown with their pronouns as well. But then in the Truth or Therapy Sessions episode after that, I went a bit deeper into it and we explored the clown core aesthetic, as they called it. And this person is right. It was, among younger generations, it was certainly a fashion choice to dress like a clown, which is it just says so much about the spirits that run through our society when you understand my perspective here. It's kind of scary and it's not really a laughing matter, but at a glance, it's pretty hilarious to see. But it's not a laughing matter. And I suppose that's the strange duality of all this information, isn't it? The jokerish, gesterish, clownish nature of the whole situation is that people are running around thinking they're just embracing their inner circus performer and having a cheeky time, when what they're really doing is embodying the very skin of a demon. And allowing the spirits to possess them in that respect, So Kelly Hay was one of the most popular creators known for that in particular. During the peak of the pandemic, all my work as an actor stopped and I felt like I had no creative outlet, she says. I turned to social media and found a lot of fun and joy in sharing my wardrobe and style online. I found myself leaning more into the performance of fashion. How far can I go before it becomes a theatre costume? Isn't every outfit we wear some form of a costume anyways? Well, yeah, she's not wrong. I was really inspired by some glittery party hats I found online and styled some looks with them and called it clowncore. Then, over the next few months, I saw that word and style really start to take off. So this person, seemingly innocently just wanted to make some TikTok videos because she was out of work and decided to lean into fashion and thought, let's dress up like a clown, that would be fun, and inspired a whole generation of followers, as she is an influencer with many followers, to copy her. Carrying on. But why in 2023 has the clown become the biggest muse in fashion? Perhaps it's a reaction to the other side of the rigid minimalism we are now so often seeing. The pandemic undoubtedly spurred a rebirth of purely expressionist, maximalist style that was equally reflected on the runways of certain labels too. With that, however, comes the opposite end of the spectrum. People are craving sensible, wearable pieces that still have personality but also permit you to blend in more, as evidenced by the excitement over Phoebe Phalo's triumphant return to design, whatever that means, I don't know what that means. Bottega Veneta has recently traded colourful leathers and sequins for flannels and blue jeans rendered out of leather. Blah, 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 blah. The clown, as it stands, feels like a fast and hard, gut-wrenching reaction of total expression and humour in the face of all things basic. It's a little weird, a lot of wacky, and definitely attention-getting. Haya also thinks it's all about full-blown creative expression and maybe even a little shock value. There's nothing subtle about clowns, she says. I think people are done hiding. We spent so long in isolation these past few years, it's given us time to think about who we are. Putting together these practically ridiculous outfits is a way of saying, look at me, this is who I am, she adds. The world is scary right now. I see the rise of clowncore as our desire to be silly and opulent and witty as things grow dark around us. We need to find joy somewhere, and I think putting on these clothes, this costume of a clown, gives us permission to be a character and express our own joy. Now, that last paragraph there, it sounds all lovely and nice on the surface, doesn't it? We're all just having a good time while things are dark. We're just trying to bring a bit of colour into a grey world of misery. We're just trying to find some joy somewhere, and putting on these clothes just helps us do that and express these things. And I wish life was just that simple. I really do. But me, and I'm sure people listening we can't really see it that way anymore. the act of putting on an outfit is no joke. You know, to put on a persona is to put on a mask. You know, to put on a mask in a sense is to take on a different persona. If you want to reverse that, is to allow yourself not to be who you actually are. And they're here saying, "Look at me. This is who I am." Well, when you dress like a clown, what you're doing is actually burying who you really are under a disguise. It's the opposite of what she thinks she's doing. And what she's dressing herself as is a representation of, well, you know, to put it blunt, demons. Although she has no idea that's what she's doing. Hardly anybody in this world truly knows that's what's going on. You know, I've been trying to make people see that that's what this is. And that's why we have the clown aesthetic. It's the spiritual manifesting physical. If you put on an outfit like that and give in to it, willfully let it take over you, that's no different than, let's say, tribes in Africa who have ancestor worship. Now, what they claim to be their ancestors, what they mean when they say that is spirit worship or worship of nature gods. And what they do is they dress in outfits that represent those entities in the spirit realm in order to allow them to inhabit their body while they have a frenzy and dance. That's why they dress like this. They do it to allow the spirit it represents to come into their body. That's why they do it. Now, we in the West don't see it this way. We don't understand that when we do something like this, it's no different. We're inviting, through the clothing we wear, the spirit behind it. Just the same as these cultures do. It's only ignorance that makes you blind to that this is going on. You know, these practices are ancient. And we have basically just forgotten the purpose behind them, you know, and it's no joke. It's hard to talk about it. I know what it sounds like on the surface, you know, but if you look at the aesthetics across multiple cultures all around the world, they all have their own practices where they dress in a way like this in order to bring in and attract the spirits they represent, you know. And just the only difference is these guys in Africa and in Asia, shamans all around the world, you know what I mean, in South America as well, a lot of this is going on. In voodoo practice as well, that's another example. Even in European practices, traditional folk festivals and folk traditions, they know what they're doing. They know consciously, I am wearing these items of clothing to evoke the spirits. People like this haven't got a clue what they're doing, but the outcome is the same. You know, ignorance, it's that famous saying, isn't it? You know, ignorance of the law is no excuse to get away with it. You know, just because you're ignorant to what you're doing doesn't mean you're immune to the consequences. And that's what I'm trying to say here with this, and that's why I'm reading this article to you. You know, so here's Harry Styles, again, someone with extreme influence who's heavily into the agenda. You know, I mean, I've noticed this tattoo with 3 nails on his arm here. Which is also the Vav 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 on the Jewish number numerical system, which also represents 666. This person has a butterfly on his stomach. If you know anything about MK Ultra, that might be saying quite a lot as well. And I'm sure if we look at the signet rings he has here, there may be a few symbols there we could break down. I'm not sure if I can. Can I zoom in? Let's have a look. How far can I go with this? I see a skull, a H, something else, and is that maybe Mary in a... I don't know. I'm speculating there, guys. I'm going off on a tangent. But let's just finish this article. Although I think I may have actually already almost finished this article. Perhaps what says the most about the rise of clowns in fashion is that even celebs are getting into the games. Take for instance Harry Styles, who wore a rainbow of Harlequin checks on a low-cut, glittering jumpsuit to the 2023 Grammy Awards in February. Some stylists think the impending recession is the reason behind it. We are slowly coming out of the pandemic. People are looking for a sense of levity, says fashion stylist Shea Despin. With the economy in a downturn, a hit of nostalgia in the form of fun, innocent childhood memories, such as the circus or clowns, is becoming more and more popular and pulling people out of the bleak fog we've been experiencing since 2020. Either way, unlike a lot of runway trends, dressing like a clown is incredibly accessible. To get the clown aesthetic without breaking the bank, all you need is an oversized detachable collar and at least one item of clothing with either polka dots, checks, or harlequin patterns. The larger, the better, adds Despin. The rise of Poirot-inspired heroes of our wardrobe functions as a bit of absurdist views on maximum blah 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 whatever. Why not laugh back at fashion when the everyday feels a little scary or even worse, boring? Yeah, so whoever wrote this article missed the point and hasn't got a clue what's going on. But I found it interesting. To get the clown aesthetic without breaking the bank, all you need is an oversized detachable collar and at least one item of clothing with either polka dots, checks, or harlequin patterns. The larger the better. Now, that's not what she was intending to do, what I'm about to say here. But if you look at it through a conspiratorial lens with my theory overlaid into the reality, it sounds to me what she's saying here is, in order to evoke the spirits of the Nephilim and be possessed by one, here's what you need as a recipe list. You'll need an item of clothing with either polka dots, checks, or a harlequin pattern, and the larger the better. Wear the clothing and you'll be able to be possessed by a Nephilim demon. It sounds like a witch giving tips or a recipe on how to conjure a demon, basically. That's not what she intended to be doing here. Most people will never hear it that way or interpret it that way. But when you watch my entire series, get a good idea of what I'm talking about, this doesn't sound that crazy what I'm saying right now. It's the same practice by ancestor voodoo religions and all around the world, but Africa's a very good example. They go for the harlequin diamond pattern themselves on a lot of their clothing. Here's examples of long red hair, something is said to be a Nephilim trait quite often. Wild colours. Here's another red hair. Here's the cross pattern on this wooden barrel he has in his chest. The harlequin pattern. Here's one. It's quite a ghoulish looking one. Black and white fractaled patterns here. A very common motif when trying to evoke the spirits. Think of the black and white checkered board of the satanic cult of Freemasonry. So these people do take the clown aesthetic very seriously when they try and evoke their quote-unquote ancestor spirits. There you go, a bit of a harlequin check pattern on the clothing here as well. These are just some examples. Just type in traditional African garb, ritualistic garb, and hundreds of photos come up of the most absurd clown-like outfits with the craziest colours and patterns. But what they're trying to do is just what this woman at the end of this article is saying. The clothing with polka dots, checks, or harlequin patterns, the larger the better, to get the clown aesthetic and bring a bit of levity into your life, It's dark, isn't it, guys? It's dark. Anyway, I'm going to switch back to the chat, see where we're up to, guys, see what you guys think about this. And then I have another article to read to you as well. So I'll switch back to the webcam. I'm going to have a little drink here because talking is thirsty work. And let's see what you guys are saying. We've got 47 people here right now. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Glad you could join me on my crazy rants. Let's just bring up this chat. There we go. And let's see what's going on. So we have Nemo. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, I lose track of days, but it is Friday, isn't it? I suppose for my British viewers, they may have something better to do on a Friday night than sit here and listen to me. But for my American viewers, it's quite early in the day for you still. So maybe this is something you can do before you go out and enjoy yourself for the weekend. Dennis Godair, hello everyone, good to see you. Dennis Netchgot, good to see you. Hello back. Not really here, good to see you. Glory of Yar's creation, Wendy, shalom. Amelia, good to see you. Larry, nice to see you, man. Always good to see a regular face. Good afternoon from Colorado, says Isha. Nice to see you, Isha, as always. Or Ishia Faye. I don't want to pronounce that wrong. I'm sorry if I I was just watching this crazy alien documentary and described them with white, pale skin, and one was named Corona. Oh, well, that's topical, isn't it? Larry, I have a one-eyed chicken named Ellie. Oh, Ellie? Is it L or Ellie? I think that is called L, isn't it? The fashion brand. I bet she's adorable. Adrian, 0004, good to see you. I've heard of this before. I haven't watched this series yet, but I'm going to. Are you talking about my series? I hope you do watch it, like, 'cause I've got about 24 episodes out now, spanning back from 2016. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time. What have we got here? Twisted Sister was definitely clownish. Yes, a lot of, like I said, a lot of bands through the past 5 decades, I'd say, have been growing more and more colourful since the 60s and getting more and more psychedelic from that revolution, really, haven't they? I think it can hardly be surprising, when there was that huge cultural revolution in the 60s where everyone was basically off their tits on acid and smoking cannabis every single day and just doing so many drugs, and the sexual revolution and the rest. Maybe that was when the spiritual began to manifest physical a lot more. Maybe that veil got a little bit thinner after that period for the sake of so many people dropping traditional values and opening themselves up to these things. And since then, the music scene has just got more and more psychedelic. Looks like I'm lagging a little bit there, guys, a little bit choppy. I apologize. I'll pause the stream on my phone. Hopefully that should speed things up. But yeah, I'm due an internet upgrade. Things aren't the greatest at the moment. There's some videos about how Nephilim look like clowns. When their bodies are destroyed, their spirits continue on. Unlike humans, which our spirit rests sleep until the day of judgment. Yes, I've made that video. I think you're talking about my work there, Andres. 80s punk, yeah, that had a similar vibe, says Vibes. What else have we got here? Very interesting, considering the whole world is a circus now. That is right. It's going absolutely insane, more and more by the day. Can you guys see my comments in chat, says Passing Traveller? We sure can. At the Speed of Shadow, good to see you. Again, thanks for all the emails. I am getting them and reading them. They are very interesting. Thanks for sharing. If I have time, I might go through some of them today. Passing Traveller, thank you. I said that because I was banned from commenting videos. I was testing if I can communicate in chat. Well, I don't think I've banned you from my streams or videos, but I do ban the odd person every now and then who has nothing useful to say and just wants to, I don't know, comment on the way I look in some way or just say something derogatory. But no, I'm sorry if you have been banned. I boost a comment in videos and it just disappears after not even 1 second. That's strange. Sometimes the algorithm thinks an innocent comment is spam and it doesn't show up until the creator approves it. And that can get buried for a long time, hidden behind loads of things before the creator will even realize it's not been allowed. And so it may just be that. Maybe the algorithm has just tripped out and thinks you're a sales bot or something. It could be as innocent as that, Passing Traveller. We have Punto di Vista, big up from Italy. I think I've just emailed you, if that's correct. I think you've just done a show yourself on this topic, and we've had a conversation, and I may be coming on your show and having a talk. Is that correct? Is that you? Let me know in the chat if that's the case. But yeah, interesting. Some Italian YouTuber wants me to come on and have a talk with them, and obviously I don't speak any Italian, but he's willing to do the whole thing in English, which is very kind and considerate. So we'll see if that pans out. But good to have you here either way. Vibes, good to see you. Cultbuster 11, yo, good. I like that name. Thanks for being here. What are the chances that the clown jester aesthetic is used all over the world and looks like the Nephilim DMT jesters? Exactly. The people who put out got 50 minutes of fame. Very Amber-esque. Yeah. Clown, New World Order Squirrel Circle using evil spirits. So we've got a few gematria codes there, numerology. What up? Crazy World, bro. Cheers from Las Vegas. Did Conspiracy Arrows rip off? I'm sorry, build off your series, my friend. So I started this series in 2016, maybe even earlier than that, actually. I'm not sure. Around that time, 2016, 17. And I made about 17, maybe about 17 episodes of my series, spanning over 3 years. In 2017, I had to stop because my workplace found out, and they threatened to demote me if I continued to make videos, because the staff wouldn't respect me as a manager if they found the channel and discovered what I was talking about. So I had to go silent, and all my videos went private for a long time. And there was silence on the whole clown theory for about 3-4 years. No one had discussed anything about it. My theory was just sat there in the dark, gone. Some people had mirrored my videos on their own channel. But as time went on, I suddenly got messages and people adding me randomly. And I was like, why is my channel getting subscribers? I've not posted anything in like 4 years. And Conspiracy Arrows had made a video about all of my work. I made his own series about it from there. And he has become very successful from it. And I now have continuously get people messaging me stuff thinking they're talking to him, and it's getting very annoying. I'm not gonna lie, I've tried to be calm about most things, but when you just get one mosquito bite, you can brush it off, but once you've been bitten about 100 times, you start to get a little bit irritated. So yeah, he basically has made all of his videos from my work originally, and he's kind of gone off on his own tangent now with Bob, which I personally don't hold any weight to the theory. I don't think it has anything much to do with the Nephilim and the clown connection. I think it's interesting and it's worthy of its own series, but I don't think it should be just kind of latched onto the clown theory. But that's basically what happened there with that. So yeah, Conspiracy Arrows picked up my theory when I wasn't posting videos. And then during that time when he made his video, I thought, well, it's been a while. Work has probably forgotten about the channel. I'll make the playlist visible again. So for a year or so, I wasn't posting anything, but my playlist was visible. And then recently I quit that job, left it all behind, started my own business. I am free. I'm a free agent to do whatever I want, and I started up the channel again, and I'm back at it. And I don't really... I watch his videos, but I do my own thing, and he does his. He has given me credit in the first video, and he has mentioned me in a later video, and he puts my link in the descriptions as far as that goes. But yeah, we don't really communicate, I suppose. People have told us to reach out to him and talk, but I don't think he's the type to talk in public. From what I've seen, he doesn't really do shows or stuff. I think he's quite a private individual. And, I'm happy just doing my thing and he can do whatever he does. But I do need people to realise we're not the same person. And we have I do my series, he does his. And we're not really connected in that, other than he just made videos about my theory and it took off for him. And I think he just keeps making videos now because, well, why wouldn't he? It brings him a lot of views. And people consider him, one of the authorities on it now. So he does continue to make those videos. I mean, I remember him saying something like, I think this is the last video I'm going to make on this subject now. I don't think he wanted to be the guy who talked about the Nephilim and the clowns. I think he's just ended up being that guy. I think he wants to talk about what he's interested in, which is history and Mudflood stuff. Tartaria and the hidden histories and lies in that respect. But I also feel like watching his videos, I think he's more obliged to make those videos now, he feels, for his subscribers, because that's what they expect of him. I don't feel like the Nephilim clown thing is where his passions truly lie as a creator, and that's okay, For me, however, this is my baby. I love this topic. I just I can't get enough of it. It's so fascinating to me. I'm I suppose an announcement. I am writing a book about it now. I have written all the subheadings and titles, and I've tried to lay out the order of the book and all the topics I'm going to discuss. I'm halfway through an introduction. I have little bits here and there that I've already written throughout the years that I'm going to try and mash together. I'm going to write the book on this theory because it's my theory, and I care about it deeply, like I would any artist does about the work. And then hopefully I can make a documentary from the book as well. I discussed it in one of the last videos. But as far as me and Conspiracy R Us goes, that's it. People always tell me, Conspiracy R Us brought me to your channel. He gave you a shout out, but the guy isn't even subscribed to my channel. I don't think he cares about my work that much. But there was a time years ago where he would comment on my videos regularly before I had to go silent. So he was a subscriber once. So from my perspective, a guy is a regular subscriber to me, communicates regularly, asks me questions. I go away. He picks up my topic, rolls with it on his channel, and then deletes me as a sub. And then acts like he's kind of aware that I've come back. In some later video, well after the fact, and still hasn't subscribed back to me, or I assume he doesn't follow any of my work. So, how would you take that from your perspective if you were in my shoes? I don't know. I don't want to badmouth the guy because I don't really know him. But like I said, he does his thing. I do mine. And when we don't work together, we're not like a tag team in that respect. I think we are two different people with different interests, and we just happen to both talk about the clown thing now. Yeah. Anyway, jumping back into the chat, let's see what's going on here, and then I have another article I want to read to you guys about musicians and famous people getting really into this whole clown fashion thing. So let me just bring this up. Excited for you on the book journey, says Larry. Thank you. I'm considering starting maybe a GoFundMe for the book because it's so time consuming. And time is money now. Like I said, I've said it again, I'll say it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm self-employed. My time has to go into trying to generate income for my family in this business. Me and my wife work together on it, So if I'm going to write a book, it has to be profitable. It can't just be a waste of time for me. So I might do a GoFundMe to help fund the publishing aspect of it all. I do want to make physical copies of the book, paperback books, versions that I can sign and give to people as well. But that costs money. Printing books costs money. Getting a publisher costs money. All of it is money, money, money. And also it's time. It takes time to write a book. So I may start a GoFundMe, make a separate video about it, and see if you guys want to support that particular cause. We'll see. But I'm like I said, when I do have time, I am doing what I can with that book. Alpha Talks, good to see you. Got to get another talk with you. People loved it. Brilliant. I'm glad you liked it. It's good to see you. It's a Vitali. I can't remember how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. But Alpha Talks is great to see you again. I'm glad you're here. Welcome back. Keep it up, says Cultbuster. Thank you. Song lyrics, clowns you approve. One who keeps tearing around. One who can't move. Where are the clowns? There ought to be clowns. Just when I'd stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one that I wanted. I have no idea what that is, but I'm guessing it's lyrics from a song. Okay, fair enough. Rose Garcia. I'm glad you're back, Paul. Thank you. To play devil's advocate, I found your channel from Conspiracy Auras. Yeah, a lot of people did. Which is fair enough. I can't control these things. But I did have one person comment and tell me, you need to give credit where credit's due. You stole all this from Conspiracy Auras. This isn't your work. Why don't you mention the person who really came up with all of this? And I'm sat there like, bro, do your research. You know what I mean? I don't. Wow. So I pinned that comment at the top of the video, and people have given him what for since. But You know, that's what it gets. That's the level it gets to sometimes. But I know I am thankful for the publicity. He did keep the theory alive, you know, so I'm thankful for that. Never paid much attention to Danny Elfman and his band Mystic Knights, but knowing what I know, boy, were they not subtle on every point you've made. Well, this is the thing, yeah. You after the fact, it all becomes very clear, doesn't it, when you start to see these things. But when you're in it in the moment, and you don't, you know, when your eyes were shut, I suppose, to use a phrase, you just don't see it. It goes way over your head, doesn't it? It's like you know, when you're a kid and you watch cartoons with your parents, and there were just jokes in there that you just didn't clock as a child, but your parents were laughing at because it was like dark or something, you know, or sexual in nature, and it was just a funny joke for adults, buried in this kids program under layers of irony and nuance that children just wouldn't understand. That's what many adults are like in this world, watching most things that are intended for adults. You know, they're just children who don't see it, they don't get it, you know. And the people with their eyes open are the parents, you know, who are like laughing along. You know, I suppose you get the initiated into your cult in the secret societies who are watching and laughing, and they see what they put in there, what it really means, these symbols. But then there's people like us who aren't a member of these societies, who just have learnt seen the truth, and we're in that position now. It's a very similar parallel, you know. It's funny and scary, you know. It's a bit of both. Conspiracy Horrors is one of the few good channels, but now he's uploading more, and it becomes BS. Yeah, well, like I said, I liked his videos on all the Mudflood stuff as well. You know, he makes some good stuff in his own way about his own topics. I personally think he's losing it a bit with the clown stuff. I think he's stretching. I don't think he's not passionate about it, so he's not bringing much to the table anymore. I feel like he's stuck in that situation where he gained a lot of publicity and has become the figurehead for the clown topic. But he never wanted it. You know what I mean? It wasn't what he expected to happen. But now he feels obliged to continue making content about it to please the subs he gained from my theory. And he doesn't know how to carry it, essentially, because he doesn't know where to look. Or so, like I said, he's gone down some odd tangents, I think. Like I said, the whole Bob thing. I think it's a topic in its own right. It's not something to do with the clowns as much as he made it out to be. And you know, we'll see where he goes with it. But that's just kind of my observation on the matter. It's something I learned years ago as an artist. You know, stick to what you're good at, and you'll be happy in life. Do what you enjoy and what you're actually good at doing. I'm an artist, always have been. I can paint and draw. I can create things. I can make music. I can sing. You know, I'm creative. I'm a creative person. What did I try and do when I left high school? I tried to be a scientist. Failed miserably. Why? I have no idea. Now I'm sticking to what I'm good at. I'm succeeding. You know, that advice applies to everybody. So maybe hopefully Conspiracy Horrors will realise, you know, the whole Tartarian Mudflood thing. He's strong at that. He finds some deep connections that other people don't really pay attention to. And I think that's where his strengths lie. But we'll see. Hi, Ishafe. Pamela Zwerink, hello from Nebraska. A friend shared your work on her channel and told us to come over and subscribe to your channel. Well, thanks, Pamela. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy the work. It was this channel that connected the dots for me a few years ago. I connected some stuff myself through a lifetime of fairy tales and history of spirituality, but it was here that it finally made sense. Well, that's brilliant. I'm glad my work has helped you connect a few dots. It's freaking Grace Jones. My post always gets deleted from my favourite YouTubers. I'm sorry, Mr. Royal. But you're taking it extremely personally, and I'd have to say your channel is heavily Christianity based now since your return, which is why I haven't been listening that much. My 2 cents, Phytonics. Well, I've always been a Christian channel. Not always. It kind of moulded into a Christian channel as time went on. And you know, I'm not perfect. Yeah, maybe I am taking it a little bit personally. Like I've asked you, like I've told you guys, you know, how would you take it? You know, I've tried to be, you know, as disconnected from it as I can. But when you're bombarded every single day with people sending you emails that aren't intended for you, and they think they're sending it to this conspiracy horrors person, you know. Every day, eventually it starts to get a little bit personal. I'm sorry, you know, and I'm not gonna feel ashamed for saying that. Again, it's nothing against the guy, but you know, my lived experiences, it's kind of getting a little bit personal, you know. Take of that what you will. When I was little, my parents had clown pics on my wall. I'd wake up and just stare at them. So creepy. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds terrifying. I was just thinking he needs to write a book before he said anything about that. Yeah, like I said, I'm working on it. I found your channel while researching my Hatman experience. Yep, that's a huge thing, the Hatman stuff. I would love to have Heidi Hollis on the channel to have a talk. I've done some research into how to contact her, and I do think she has her own thing going on here and there, but I may be able to wrangle her into having a talk with me for a little bit. But she is the preeminent expert on the Hatman. She has compiled so many like first-hand experiences of people with this entity, this demonic entity, and she's made a wonderful book called the Hatman. And I've got it upstairs actually. I bought it off her, but it's a good read. And it's that character is one of the darkest demons to plague mankind. It's definitely a high-ranking entity. But yeah, I'm sorry you had your own experience. I've had my own experience with it as well. The video's on my channel. It's called The Hatman, a demonic encounter, if you haven't seen it already. Alpha Talks. Have you ever looked into Otrok Zhikislav? Vikislav? I think his name is. He was a Slavic boy from the 80s who had visions of the Deceiver returning and looking like a pale-faced jester. Black and white. I've not seen that Alpha Talks, but I will look into that. That's interesting. Time to binge watch this channel while I have the time and energy. Yeah. I have my channels I binge watched as well, don't we? We all have those channels, don't we? But I'm glad mine's somebody's binge watch channel. That's truly an honor to hear that. When it's about self more than truth, we tend to lose our way. I guess so. Yeah, you know, I try to keep myself detached from it as much as I can. You know, but at the same time, you know, I'm a sensitive cancer artist, you know what I mean? I take my creativity and things personal sometimes, you know. Sometimes I let my emotions get the better of me. That's who I am as a human. But I try my best to be as humble as I can and detached as I can. And, you know, I understand it is about getting the truth out, you know. I do know that, you know. It's, again, but, you know, we all have to battle with our own inner demons, I suppose, if you want to use a quote, a term of some kind there. But, yeah. It's about self more than truth. The previous clown vids are really good. Loads of excellent pictures. What happens with some people, they get big, then it's all about the money, I believe. That can happen. I can see that, you know. Though you don't make that much money off YouTube with ads alone. I mean, you can make a relatively okay amount, you know, but you have to put in the work. It's not as simple as you don't just get it for doing nothing, you know, unless you get lucky and get a random video that gets just millions of views. Then yeah, you'll make a lot of money very quickly, you know, if you are allowed to be monetized. That's the other thing, you know, you're not always allowed to make money off your videos. It's what the algorithm deems appropriate or not. I mean, me, you know, I'm a reasonable sized channel with 12,000 subs. I try to post every 3 days, something. You know, I try to be consistent, although I'm not perfect. And doing that regularly, you know, I maybe make roughly between, you know, for my American subs here, I make about £7 per video. So that's about $9. Let's say $10 per video. By the end of the month, I make roughly, from ad revenue and donations through super chats, $130 a month. That's not really a living wage. You can't live off that, you know. It's nice if you've got a job on the side, you know, and it's a bit of extra pocket money coming in, sure. But when you're like me, who's self-employed and you've got to make money any way you can, then, you know, it's not that much money really. It's not worth. Is it worth all the time I spent on it? I don't know. But then of course I got my Patreon donators, which I'm very thankful for, and it's a bit more consistent, you know. But when you get to someone's level like Conspiracy Horrors, let's say, who has a quite a decent-ish regular-sized channel of maybe 70k subs now, I think, or something like that. He's probably making maybe 4 times as much as me, so maybe about $500 if I was to hazard a guess. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. $500 a month. So it's a nice amount of money, but again, is it a lot considering, is that enough to cover rent for 1 month? I don't think so. Not for anybody. It's not that much money realistically. What else have we got? But yeah, I think a lot of YouTubers, if they were always just about in it for the money, that'll show through eventually. But if they were truly passionate about what they were doing, then the money would never change the content. The content would always stay consistent. And I follow people who I trust on that matter, but I've also seen people who have shown their true colours as time goes as well, and it's just the way it is, isn't it? Money makes the world go round, unfortunately, and we all have to eat at the end of the day. So I try not to judge people too harsh on that myself. So your original series was packed with quality, and now it seems like you wander and talk about this stuff that more live streams, more life religion stuff, less focus on documentary style vids. Well, yeah, I try and do both, but you know how long it takes to make a video like the ones I make that are more scripted with images. A 10-minute video can take 5 hours to compile, probably more. And I do what I can when I can. But I like I like this. I like talking with the people who watch my videos. I like a dialogue and a conversation. This is called the Truther Therapy Sessions. This is here for people like me and yourselves to get things off your chest and talk, and to not feel alone while traversing the truth world, which is a scary, lonely place, very isolating for a lot of people. So you say, oh, you're just doing live shows right now, and that my 2 cents is that's pointless. You're not doing enough documentary work. I mean, all I can say really is, come on, man. What do you want? I'm a human being. I can't do everything I do to please you. I have many people listening who want to do this instead. I enjoy doing this. That's why they're here, I assume. They probably listen to my other shows, and now they're here. They are joining in with this one, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, regardless of your opinion on what I should be doing. But I do what I can when I can. And people know that. People who've been here for a while know every now and then I'll release a video that does have a bit more production quality and time and effort into it. And at the same time, in my defense, I don't think my speculation videos I release are useless. I think there's a lot of valuable information in there that I have worked hard at researching before I make the video. I just happen to be able to do it in a relaxed manner, off the cuff in the moment. Is it a crime? I don't know. Let's get this chat back up. You're coming off like a crybaby. I'm out. Well, seen a bit, Phytonics. Goodbye. Not really here. I thought the way he's addressed all was very kind, actually, and gave credit to the other channel for good work. We must remember, I think it's not about helping out. That it's about helping out. Okay, I'm not sure. Manoskin is definitely clownish as well. At the beginning of Star Trek... Oh, the chat's going crazy on me here. I've got Pineal Power trying to shill his show in the chat. At the beginning of Star Trek Into the Darkness movie, there's a scene with the Anunnaki and they're all painted white and have red on their face and stuff. Yeah, I think I might be about to show you an image of that someone sent me in an email, funnily enough. Maybe it was yourself, but I will share that soon. Those who do not comprehend Jesus and do not want to, it's not worth our time. Well, they'll come around if they want to come around. I'm not here to force that on anybody, but I won't stop talking about it just because they don't like it. That's... I'll do what I do. They can do what they do. Showing off his fool's glory, yeah. I was awake when the Hatman visited. I did a story time on it. Brilliant. I like watching vids and coming to my own conclusions. binge watching the right frame of mind to absorb it all. Yeah. I witnessed a lot of infighting, and I wish that we could all be hands on deck for fighting evil. Yeah, no, that would be nice, and we all do work together in our own way. But at the end of the day, we are all individuals with a life, and not every person is each other's person. I've learned that the hard way throughout the years. I've had people who just do not like me. Some people really like me and think I'm a cool guy. Then I've met plenty of people who barely know me who just hate me. They just do not like whatever I am, And, I don't live my life worrying about what people think of me in that respect, because it's just, you can't be everybody's friend, unfortunately. But, we're all trying to do our best, especially in this culture. We all try and get along. I wouldn't say I hate anybody, I'm past all that, I don't like carrying that kind of stuff around with me. Please email me a time for another visit about oppression. I'm ready, Paul. Time to go. Enjoy your weekend. Yes, Larry, I'll send you an email and we'll arrange another talk. I think people want to hear your story again, and maybe we can do it better this time. A lot of people keep telling me I talk too much during that talk. I keep telling them it wasn't an interview. It was just a random conversation we had one night that I decided to put up onto the channel. If it was an interview and I knew that before I went into it, I probably would have shut up a bit more. But we're not all perfect, are we? I like live streams. Yeah, exactly. This is very lonely. I just got my equipment upgraded enough to participate a little better. Anybody from Michigan? I feel more connected with content creating the people in the chat with the live stream, says Pamela. Exactly, that's what it's about. Pamela, we need to connect with each other. It's not just about creators connecting with creators. We're all researching here. Some of us just happen to make videos about it. Some of us don't. But we're all working together, and I want to talk with those people. I want to help those people get through it, because I know it's horrible and it's tough and it's scary, and that's what this is really about for me. It's not them that hate you, Paul. It's the demons attached that don't like being outed. Well, maybe. It's a bit far away. I'm searching for people to meet with, but not much luck around here, Well, maybe this is a good time. We've talked about the clowns enough at the start of this. There is an article, maybe we'll get into it afterwards, about fashion and clownery and fashion. But we know it's a clown world. We know the demons are going to manifest more and more as the veil becomes thinner. We know what the Nephilim truly looked like and what the demons on the other side of the veil look like now. So why bother talking about it? Let's talk about something that I really wanted to talk about tonight. Something I've been working on for a week or so. I reached out to my patrons first. I gave them a rough... Sorry guys, my phone's going off there. Let me just silence that. I gave off a little rough draft of what I want to talk about on Patreon first and ask for their opinions, and they shared with me a few of their ideas. And what I've made is a top 20 pieces of advice for truthers and conspiracy theorists. Things I've learnt over 10 years, which I want you guys to know. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch over. I don't even, maybe it's better just, you don't have to see the list. I'll bring it up at the end, but let me just open up my list here and we'll go through it one by one. But this is something that I think could be really useful for a lot of people. If you've been doing this for a while or if you're new to it, this stuff is still relevant to you. So let me just get a drink quickly, just take a quick 30-second break. I need the sugar and caffeine to keep going. It's 10 in the evening for me. So this should keep me going for another hour or so if I'm lucky. Okay. Right. So yeah, I've called it advice for truthers. I will quickly just flip the camera here. No, actually, no, I'll leave my face up. Why not? It's always nice to see someone actually talking to you and giving advice, I suppose. So we'll leave it at this. But number one on my list, I think this is quite an important one, which is why I put it first, is be careful who you share this information with. So, when you first start learning whatever truth topic it is you've discovered first. You know, it could be anything. It could be chemtrails, Morgellons, 9/11, I don't know, the Illuminati, music industry, and all that. So, you know, one of the first things you generally tend to learn first is something along those lines, and your eyes are starting to just be opened up for the first time. It's not uncommon, and it's easy just to quickly go screaming it to the first person you see and everyone around you. You know, something you just want to tell everybody about this stuff you've learned. And a lot of people have been more receptive than others, but you do need to be extremely careful with who you let know that you know this type of stuff, or that you think about this type of stuff. So this mainly relates to work. Okay, this is where this one really comes into practice. Be careful who you share this information with. If your boss finds out that you're into this stuff, or if you're a content creator, for example, and you make videos about this kind of stuff, they may see it as a PR issue. They don't care about what you've got to teach them. They don't. All they care about is not letting a bad actor or a character in their workforce make their life more difficult. That's all they really care about. And that's all, you know, corporate really cares about at the end of the day. So you go around, you know, trying to expose the, you know, the multicolored agenda, let's say, you know, or you know, 9/11 was an inside job is like a classic one, isn't it? You go around saying all this stuff and you talk about it publicly, and then let's say someone catches wind of that at your workplace and tells your boss is going to panic and go, one of my managers is talking about this stuff on a YouTube channel, you know, to his boss in corporate. What do I do? And corporate would probably say, well, he can't be a boss if he's going to talk about that kind of stuff, because if the staff find it, it might become a lawsuit issue. You know, they might get offended and claim homophobia or sexism or something, or racism or some whatever, you know. So it's best just to tell them they're violating our social media policy or something and get them to get off it, or demote them, because if they're just a shop floor worker, then whatever, you know, it doesn't matter if they're talking about that kind of stuff. But we can't have managers talk. So that's what happened to me, and that's where I learned this lesson. Be careful who you tell that you think about this kind of stuff. Not everybody's your friend, as we were mentioning earlier. Not everyone has your best interest at heart. Not everyone out there will be as sympathetic about it as others. So that's advice number 1. Be careful who you share this information with. Number 2, you can't save everybody. Some people are just not meant to know. And this wasn't an easy one to discover. This is a harsh lesson to learn. But from years of, in the first initial years, you know, like I said, you're going around slapping people in the face, you know, pointing at things and screaming, "Do you see? Do you see? You need to see this. Please see this. You're in trouble. We're all in trouble. You need to know what's going on. We're all being controlled. There's an agenda at play, etc., etc." You know, and some people will just not hear it. They are too spiritually dead and blind to hear it, you know. And I'm being as vague as I can with these, because I don't want to pigeonhole these pieces of advice down to one particular topic or one particular belief system. You know what I believe. You know I'm a Christian, and you know I believe that that's the answer, and that's how we get saved through all of this. You know, belief in Jesus Christ, you know, and all of that. But these pieces of advice aren't specific like this. So when I say you can't save everybody, you could imply that I'm talking about, you know, the whole Christian angle. But I'm just talking about you can't make everybody wake up and start to question things. Some people just will not. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the role they're supposed to play in all of this somehow. Maybe they're there for us to sharpen our abilities against. I don't know. But there are just some people you aren't going to get through to, and you need to learn that quickly. And don't lose sleep over it. It could be a loved one, you know, it could be someone really close to you that you wish just would. But some people just cannot cope with the realization you're trying to put upon them. They have too much going on in their life that would just tip them over the edge. So the defense mechanism has shut them off. You know, you can be there if they ever personally decide to discover these things, but you can't save them yourself. They have to make that choice. You know, and that's lesson number 2. You can't save everybody. Okay, so number 3. Take regular breaks from research. This stuff will drive you insane, okay? And it's very easy to get really bogged down in one particular theory that you're currently researching this month, you know. And having your paradigm shattered so often, repeatedly, with each coming theory that comes your way while researching these things can be exhausting. And sometimes you just need to step back, turn off the computer, go outside, and just talk to your friends and family about stuff that has nothing to do with this for a month. Just pretend you aren't doing any of this research for a month. And just take a break. You know, make a new YouTube channel where the recommendations they give you have nothing to do with this stuff. Just switch off from it, just for a little bit. Just so you can recuperate and recharge the batteries and ground yourself before coming back. Because you can drown in this, okay, and you can lose yourself, and it can lead to some very dark places. And you know, it's so mentally taxing. It's like a full-time job. It's like working 60 hours a week in a law firm. You know, it's just as mentally exhausting. And you would tell that person, dude, you need a holiday. You've been doing this for 3 years straight. You haven't taken a weekend off. Take a break, you know. And it's no different with this. You need to take a break every now and then from research, you know, and maybe schedule it. Put it in your calendar. 2 weeks, I'm going on holiday, and I'm not thinking about this stuff at all. But if you don't, you'll suffer the consequences, is all I'm saying. So number 3, take regular breaks from research. Okay, number 4, don't bother your grandma with this stuff. This is, I suppose this is a kind of like a joke one, but it's kind of serious, you know. Like, you just discover the truth. You've got that overzealous hype charge thing going on that you need to save everybody and tell the world, you know. But believe me, like, 98-year-old Dorothy, who probably has only a couple of years left, who has lived in complete ignorance of this her entire life, but is otherwise a good person, doesn't need to know about, I don't know, Jay-Z throwing up the pyramid over his eye and the music industry being run by satanic people. Point your energy somewhere else. Just let them live their life. Leave them alone. It leads nowhere good. They don't need that kind of pressure and stress and horrific weight of the world putting on them in the golden years like that. Just leave it, you know. I'm talking about the really old stuff, you know. Just don't. It's pointless. Just leave them alone. They're of a different generation to us. You it's just not going to happen. There's no point. And just let them be. That's number 4. Don't bother your grandma with this stuff. Number 5. Don't get stuck on one theory. All right. It's very easy. I've seen this happen a lot of times. Now, I'm quite an eclectic truther. I try and research every single theory that comes up about everything. I don't stick to one. On alternative cosmologies, for example, I don't just look at the one possibility of what our realm could be. I've looked at them all, and I've not made a choice. Because it's stupid too. Because I don't know. But I'm open to all of them. But many people think they've found the one, and it's not just about that, not just about alternative cosmologies. It could come under any topic at all. But a lot of people find the one thing, and that becomes their thing, and they do not go anywhere else or view anything else, and it's the hill they're going to die on. And everything has to be about that all the time. Right? And don't do it. There's more to learn. There's always more to learn. Remember that, okay? Now, you can dwell on a theory for a while, but be open to change. Be open to move on to something else. Learn the theory, lock it away in the brain vault, remember it, bear it in mind for the future, but move on and become about something else. Don't get stuck on just one thing. You know, and that can become down to belief systems as well. You know, there's many things this can relate to. But be open. You know, be open in that respect. And that comes on to number 6, you know. Be open to being wrong a lot. You know, you're going to be wrong about a lot of things, right? You're going to learn some stuff and you're going to form an opinion on it. And someone's going to come along eventually and they're going to completely shatter that view. They're going to present a piece of evidence or information that's just going to break it down, and be ready for that. Don't let your pride get in the way. You know, you make a mistake, you've gone down the wrong path, you've thought the wrong thing, you know, and it's leading to nothing good, you know, and it's leading to more deceptions upon deceptions, and, you know, you're not really learning the truth. Be open to change your mind about some stuff. You could be wrong, you know, and I'm open to being proved wrong all the time, you know. Again, I have my Nephilim clown thing, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think I've made a solid enough case. But who knows? Who truly knows? You know. And I'll always hold that kind of slight separation to anything I hold dear in that respect, because you never know. Some things you do know, but when it comes to conspiracy theories, you know, it's clouded in mystery, guys. Some stuff that we could have been fed particular lies to make us believe particular things that can happen when it comes to conspiracy. You know, there is controlled opposition in that respect, and you've got to be careful. You know, but just be open to being wrong. Be malleable to some extent. Though I will argue, this is a personal argument. Have your core belief. At least have a foundation, a solid foundation, and I believe personally the best foundation is Jesus Christ, and that whole shtick. But if you build a house on sinking sand, it's not going to work. It's going to collapse eventually. You know, you have to build on a solid foundation, and if you're going to build the truth, an image of the truth in your mind, you better hope the foundation is solid, or you're in trouble. So number 7, you know, your worldview will change consistently before you reach a level. So when you start with this, you're going to become many things, okay? You're going to become, probably start an atheist, become a nihilist, then become a new ager, and then you're probably going to go down the route of become some kind of Gnostic occult something or other. And then you're probably going to go down an insanity route for a little bit where nothing makes sense and everything is chaos. And then you're going to go down probably the Taoist hippie route and say, you know, you need the order, you need the chaos to understand the order, you know, and then eventually you'll probably mold yourself further down the path and maybe level out somewhere around Christianity if you get to the truth in the end. But to get there, you'll become many things over the years while researching the truth. You'll circle around, you know. So, you know, you might not believe me when I say, you know, Christianity is the end truth, but whether or not you believe that, the advice is still the same. Your worldview is going to change constantly before you reach a certain level. Be prepared for that. It's a journey, you know, enjoy the ride, I suppose. So number 8, be careful how you say the truth. The truth is a volatile weapon, and people will get defensive. Okay, so listen to that again. Be careful how you say the truth. The truth is a weapon, and people will get defensive if you start waving it around in their face. All right, they will get defensive. Now, I made a video about this years ago, and it was called, you know, you need to be a good ambassador for the truth. If you aren't handling this delicate information carefully, you're going to drop it and smash it all over the floor and cut people's feet. You know, you have to be delicate with this information and how you present it to people. this information is like taking a sledgehammer to a glass ornament, you know, and the person is the person's uh, worldview is that glass. It's fragile. It's built upon lies, and most people are asleep. Their entire world is built upon threads of just lies all weaved together. And as soon as you start pulling on those threads, you know, they will scratch and claw and scream to make sure you don't tear it apart, you know, because it's all they've got. You know, and you just come along and try and shatter it all by screaming all these truths they just don't want to hear. You know, that people have built their entire life on these lies and these foundations, and you're just going to come along and rip it all away from them. They're not going to be as thankful as you think they are. People will get defensive. People will attack you. You know, people will verbally abuse you. They will call you everything under the sun. They may even get physical. You know, be careful how you say the truth. There are ways to say things, you know. Don't come across like the stereotypical crazy conspiracy theorist. Just if you're in that manic stage still in your process, maybe you're not ready yet to start telling other people about what you've learned. I think you need to get to a point where you've calmed down a little bit. You've regained a sense of humor. Humor can go a long way into teaching people about this stuff. And then maybe you can go towards trying to tell other people, you know. But if you're not, there's this sad but true sales understanding, you know. People don't buy products; they buy the person selling the product. You need to remember that, okay? The truth is like the product, you know. And if they don't like you, and they don't like the way you're acting while trying to tell them the truth, then they're going to associate knowing the truth with acting like you. And that person's going to think, I don't want to know this stuff if it's going to make me end up looking like and acting like them. Then you've lost them, you know. But if you come across as a cool, calm, collect, ordinary, normal human being while teaching them these things, then they'll look at it and go, well, this person seems well put together and calm and collect and cool. Maybe there's something to this information. That's how it works. Sad that people are that fickle, but that is how it works. Are you there yet? Are you ready to start teaching people? You know, you need to ask yourself this question honestly. You really do. You know, it's not, you know, I'm not saying I'm there. I make mistakes, you know. But I definitely understand that at the start when I first learned all this stuff, I wasn't ready to start talking about these things, you know. And I suffered for it. I'm sure many of you already have. You came on a little bit too strong, you know, with those early people in your life when you first learned this stuff, and maybe those people aren't in your life anymore because of it, you know. Anyway, number 9. Your family won't want to listen, and that's fine. Don't let this information break you apart. Okay? There are more important things than knowing conspiracy theories and being a truther. You know, the most important thing in this world, really, when it comes down to it, is family. You cannot let things like this break you apart, because things like this come and go. You know, vain philosophies, thoughts and opinions, you know, fads, latest news articles, the latest controversies, whatever they are, they'll be gone soon. But what will remain is your family, you know, for as long as they stay alive, I suppose. But you need to live a life. You need to enjoy your life. And the best way to enjoy your life is through your loved ones, you know, and being with them, experiencing things with them, laughing and crying and sharing life with those people. Some family members may not be open to listening or wanting to know about this stuff. Fine. Don't force it on them. Move on. You will be happier for it. Okay? Like I said in advice number 2, you can't save everybody. Some people just aren't willing to or meant to know. Okay? People will wake up when they choose to. It's a choice. Often that choice can get forced upon them through means outside of their control, but don't assume you're supposed to be that outside force. You know, God has a plan in that respect, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, and when people make the personal decision to want to actually know these type of things, then they will go out on their own to find it. You have nothing to do with it. Realize that, if anything, you know. So yeah, your family won't want to listen, and that's fine. Don't let this information break you apart. That's number 9. So number 10, and I'll take a break, come to the chat, get a drink. But number 10 is support the researchers you love while you still can. Now, I guess I witnessed this firsthand, because when I was starting this channel, I followed so many truth channels. And, you know, then suddenly I got ripped out of the game. And I just cut off from all this stuff, and I felt defeated. I had a break. And I've come back after 5 years, and they're all gone. They don't exist anymore. They don't have a YouTube channel anymore. They might be, some of them are on BitChute maybe, or Rumble, but they don't post as often as they used to. Or they've just gone to Twitter, you know, or something like that. But they're gone now. And I wish I appreciated them more when they were still around. You know, they got adpocalypsed and removed, or forcibly removed, you know, through censorship. Or they just fizzled out, you know, and life got in the way, as it does, just like happened with me, and you disappear, you know. Support them while they're still there, you know. Do what you can to keep them going. It's all I'm saying. I try and, you know, I donate as much as I can to the people I follow. I've often had people I've followed for years. They don't say it, but I can tell they need help. So I just give them something, whatever I can, you know. That's how it works. You know, we're a community at the end of the day. I'm not trying to get all communist about this or anything, but just if anything, just give them a like and comment and say you appreciate them while they're still around, because they're not going to be there forever. I'm a rarity. I came back. That's rare. I only came back because circumstances changed. Not everyone's circumstances will change, you know. So yeah, that's advice number 10. You know, support the researchers you love while you still can. If they make another channel on a different platform, go over there and follow them. Because I've seen these people who, you know, did that. No one went over and followed them, and now think they don't exist anymore. So they stopped making content. You know, and they brought some amazing things to the world, and it's gone. So that's advice number 10. So a quick recap of all of these, 1 to 10. Number 1, be careful who you share this information with. Not everyone's your friend. Number 2, you can't save everybody. Some people just aren't meant to know. Number 3, take regular breaks from this research. You need to rest every now and then. Your brain can't take it all the time. Number 4, don't bother your grandmother with this stuff. It's best just to leave some people alone. You know, and this can refer to also, you know, mentally disabled people, things like that. You know, just, I'm not that I'm referring that all people are mentally disabled, but, you know, just leave some people alone. You don't need to hassle them with this kind of thing. Just let them enjoy the life they have. Number 5, don't get stuck on one theory. Don't let it become your whole personality. Number 6, be open to being wrong a lot. Number 7, your worldview will change constantly before you reach a final level. Number 8, be careful how you say the truth. The truth is a weapon, and people will get defensive. Number 9, your family won't want to listen, and that's fine. Do not let this information break you apart. And number 10, support the researchers you love while you still can. Okay, so I'm going to take a break there. I have another 10 to go, but I need a drink, and I want to catch up with you guys, see what your thoughts and opinions on some of the things I've said are there. Let's have a look what's going on. I've got 54 people with us right now. Excellent. So let's bring the chat up on my phone. And I'm just going to bring up myself on the screen here. Wonderful. Okay, I can only go so far back on here, so I don't know if I've missed a lot of comments or not, but let's just see what I can go from. So Margaret says, Been noticing this pattern since my first fashion Barbie doll, as a matter of fact. Thanks for your work in standing up for Jesus, says one jewelry guy. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, I wouldn't mention the lizard people. If the world wasn't a bunch of snowflakes, there wouldn't be so many offended people. Yeah. 100% you can't save everyone, says the drunk wedding photographer. Yeah, so again, a lot of this stuff I'm sharing with maybe some of the seasoned theorists out there will understand already. You know, they've already gone through and experienced all these problems to learn the lesson the hard way. But yeah, you can't save everyone, guys. No eyes to see or ears to hear. Yeah, so very true, says Pamela. Rose says it's sad that this advice has to be given, but it's true. Yeah. Not really here says, I was that person who thought I could make a difference by pointing things out. Whoopsie, now I'm an outcast. Bright side is less of the influence of bad things on me. Yeah, but it's never too late to recast yourself, to use a phrase, you know. Everyone can always change their image. Everyone can have an image change, you know, and get back into normal society one way or the other. Because as sad as, you know, I know Jesus calls us to be separate from the world and not be of it, but we need to eat. You know, we need companionship. There's certain necessities we need, and to some extent, you've got to live in the world still. You know, don't be of the world, but you still have to live in it. You know, so I'm not saying there's compromises. You know, never compromise on your own core values and beliefs for the world, but you know, Jesus, you know, broke bread with sinners. You know, and we do the same. Anyway, carrying on. Wallace and Gromit stop motion animation. Was that what my image was like? Yeah, I imagine. All the best, chat. Keep smiling. It's not as bad as it seems, says Vibes. Ostracized from my family, wife, and daughter, fully on board. We watch your shows together. Oh, wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. I'm glad. As my grandmum told, clowns on TV and government. Sorry, guys, I have a quick drink. This is not an ad, by the way. I know I shouldn't drink Coke. I know I shouldn't, but I just love that caffeine and sugar. Yes, some solitude is good. I've had time to learn lots of the things I wanted to know about. Some of it is just the enjoyment of making leg warmers. Wonderful. We are in Satan's kingdom. Jesus even said it. Why is it so hard to comprehend? Yeah. Also, pray for protection before deep diving. That's right, you know. That's a good idea. Facts, lol. I don't know if that's facetious or real. We're talking about leg warmers. Wonderful. All commercial haunted house theatre has bloody scary clowns, chainsaws. Yeah, that's true. My great grandparents would talk about giants and secret underground tunnels and cities in our hometown in Mexico. Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily just about your grandparents. I think grandparents. What I'm trying to say is there are some people in this world who don't have the mental capacity to understand what you're trying to say. And it's not necessarily just old people, you know. And maybe some people, just leave them alone. Alright, God's got them. They're good. Just leave them alone. Let them enjoy their life. I guess that's what you understand what I'm trying to say. You say truth of therapy, but disregard us flat earthers when 100% hand of God. It's flat earth measured with my family. We're all Bible believers and the Bible backs flat. Yes, Zalodis, I understand what you're saying, but when you speak like that, it's not what you think it sounds like, okay? It's that whole don't latch on to one thing so much to the point where it makes you sound like a zealot, okay? You've got to be careful how you come across to people with that kind of stuff. But I'm not disregarding it. I'm not disregarding it. Okay, but you have to be careful with how you sound. You just do. That's just my advice. But I'm not disregarding it at all. I'm not belittling the ideas in any respect. I believe in biblical cosmology, 100%. Okay. It goes both ways, though. Many of my Christian friends do not believe in giants or even on the Nephilim, even though it's clearly written in Scripture. Yeah, I tried to join a church in my when I first kind of came around to the idea, and I wasn't really impressed with the sermons, and the conversation after the church and the congregation. It wasn't this, it wasn't deep in any way. It wasn't what I don't know how to describe it. It was all it was all a show. That's what it felt like. They were all just in it for themselves, and they were all there to try and make themselves look and feel like a member of society in a way that's a part of this group who's better than each other. The whole thing was just pathetic. A pathetic form of Christianity. A useless, neutered form of Christianity. And what I'm after is hardcore truth here. That's the kind of Christianity I propagate, which is why I'm non-denomination. I don't join a church or any denomination. I tried it, and maybe it's different in America, but in England it's very much just hymns, love, hold hands, sing a few cheesy songs about Jesus, and then have a few cakes and a cup of tea and go home every Sunday. There's nothing useful about it. There's no meat, other than obviously Jesus saves, but that's a given, right? We understand that as the basic first. What about all the extra, all the stuff we need to know, And I doubt any of those people in that church have ever even read Enoch, or even heard of it, even. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to get too bogged down on biblical cosmology, guys. That's not the important thing, and that's one of the things I'm trying to advise against, getting too wound up about something particular, right? When you hear it, getting your hackles up about it and jumping on it to its defense ultimately. It's dangerous. I said in another advice, you could be wrong. You could be, you have to be careful. You have to be extremely careful. I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. Yeah, says Owen Benjamin. I've heard him say that before. May I ask your blood group? No, I don't know. It's O something. I can't remember what. But I could crochet you some lovely trousers. Brilliant. Crochet me some lovely trousers and send them in the post. I'll give you an address. I got hit with the Jesus shtick. This is such good advice. I've been down on this road since 2014. Listen to him. What else have we got? I went from stories of giants as a kid to Catholicism to ancient aliens to sola scriptura. My faith in Christ has never been stronger now, but I'm skeptical of the church. Yeah, I've been trying to be quiet and keep things to myself, but I find that others will scream their beliefs once and anything they like at me. I'm not allowed to respond. Better to be quiet. Yeah. Masons run the churches for the most part. I would be skeptical too. Yeah. I keep running into Masons when I try to find a congregation where I like the pastor. I think I'm done trying that too. I go straight to the Most High for answers. A relationship with the Father is more important than church anyway. Relationship, not religion. Exactly, that's kind of where I stand with it. I have found if you have family, I'd listen with headphones on because they rip the stuff to bits, then blame you for the info. Yeah. Exactly. Old B movie, 5 branded women traumatized me at a very young age. I didn't learn why until this year. It's awful. Is it clown related? If it is, let me know. Did anyone know that Star Wars was loosely based on the Templar Knights Jedi? Okay, so I think I'm almost caught up with the chat. Great info, Paul. Is it me? Am I the one with the mental capacity to understand? No, it's not. It's not you. Um, I'm literally talking about disabled people, people with severe Down syndrome, let's say, or people who are literally not mentally capable of understanding this stuff, or at a point in their life where it's never going to get through. So extremely old, just leave them alone. Is what I'm trying to say. Rose says, it's so timely you coming back when you did. God certainly has a plan with you in pulling the veil behind what's so many things. Oh, thank you. Drunk wedding, we don't need a 10-minute unnecessary fight scene. The Florida Ringling Clowns. Yeah, I did look into the Ringling Clowns thing. Maybe I should make a video about it, but I have been watching you mention that quite a lot. A YouTuber named Entities Insight has done clips of Jackass characters shifting into clown smile and eyes. It's fascinating and proves your work. Interesting. Gotta go. I'll watch the rest later. God bless. Be blessed. Alright, I'll see you soon, Pamela. Brilliant. Right, guys, I think I'm going to switch back and we'll finish off the last 10 of these pieces of advice I've got written down. After this, maybe you guys could share any advice you may have, anything you may have picked up as well. And this is just some things I've learnt. I'm not saying this is the definitive things you must know as a truth or else. This is just things I've kind of picked up along the way. Maybe this could be molded into something a bit more specific as time goes on, but this is just where I am. So moving on then, we'll go to number 10. Sorry, number 10's already been said. Support the researchers you love while you still can. So number 11. Whether it's all an illusion or not is irrelevant. You still have a life to live within it. So maybe you're at that point in your research, where you're learning that everything is kind of, it could be the Matrix, we'll call it. It could just all be a hologram or a projection or a quantum projection of our consciousness observing matter, but nothing's truly real anyway, unless it's observed. Or maybe you're at that other point where it's like you're going down the Gnostic route and you believe the demiurge has us trapped in here, or maybe you're in that soul reincarnation point of your research where you think no matter what you do when you die, your soul just gets reincarnated by the moon and sent back to Earth, and you need to avoid the light in order to escape it. Or maybe you've gone down the whole Buddhist route where everything is Maya and illusion, and the key is to lose all connections to the worldly, the world, so you can leave it behind when you do die to escape the soul trap idea. If you're in that state in your research where basically everything is fake, nothing is real, maybe the Mandela effectors can understand this a bit more. Does it matter? Do you suddenly not have to get up for work in the morning? Do you suddenly not have to feed your children and provide for your family? Do you suddenly, if it's all an illusion, does that mean you suddenly no longer have to care for your parents, or go to the shop and buy more food to make sure the shelves are full? Do you no longer have to make that cup of coffee in the morning? Do you no longer have to put your trousers on one leg at a time with your socks and shoes? Does life just suddenly stop because you think it might be an illusion? No, it doesn't. Nothing changes. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. And you could be wrong. Remember that other piece of advice. So is it worth changing your entire life based on that thesis? Probably not. Is it useful to think that way? Probably not. Which is why that new age perspective, which generally tends to fall under that umbrella term when you think that way, is all a load of bollocks. Leave it behind. Is how I feel about that. So it's my piece of advice. If it's an illusion or not, it doesn't really matter. You still have to carry on with your life. Number 12. Don't let the bastards get you down. You know, like I said, you're going to get ridiculed. You're going to get punished for this, knowing this type of stuff. The world will reject you. You know, people are going to laugh at you. They're going to think you're crazy. They're gonna come at you hard. Don't take it personally. It's not really you they're angry at. It's the information. And as someone mentioned in the comments earlier, maybe they've got some serious demons out there attacking you, and it's not even them attacking you. You know, it's not really you they're angry at, and also it might not even be them speaking and attacking you. It could be the spirit behind them. You know, it could be the fear within them that you're pulling apart the threads of their fake reality so easily, you know. But don't let them get you down. You know, it's not worth it. Just live in joy, you know. Be thankful that you at least your eyes were opened. But try not to let it get to you. Really, try your best. It's all right, you know. I've had people who have been vicious with me on here, especially on YouTube, and then months, years later, they send me a message and apologize and say they've changed. You just don't know where a person's at, but try not to let them get you down, you know. So number 12, don't let the bastards get you down. Number 13, sheeple are still people. So it's easy, you know, when you really get into this stuff to start to like hate those who don't know. And you start to put them down like they're just a bunch of drones. They're just a bunch of ants, you know, they're just a bunch of sheeple following the herd, you know, they don't have a single free thought in their mind, you know, they're just blind idiots leading the blind, you know, and you can really get into that frame of mind quite easily where you start putting these people down as though they're not human, as though they're not just lost souls who are victims. You know? Try not to get into that mindset. Sheeple are people, and you were one of them once. Don't forget that. So number 14, conspiracy fads come and go. All right. There are going to be moments while researching where it seems like quite stagnant, but nothing new is really coming out. Then suddenly there'll just be this theory that bam just takes everything by storm and everyone's talking about it. And it's the new trending topic in the conspiracy world, and then just as soon as it comes, it'll be gone. Okay, so try not to get hung up on them and hold on to them for longer than was necessary. All right, do you remember the no forests on flat Earth thing? Did you ever hear that one? That whole all the forests are brand new, and that really swept the whole world by storm for a short while. It was interesting, sure, but things like that will just come and go. You'll see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of things just happen then disappear. Do you remember the whole crisis actors false flag hoax thing? For a long time, maybe in 2014-15, that there was groups of truthers who were all banded together just to talk about that one thing. You know, and we're going at it trying to say, you know, these are crisis actors, this event's fake, that event's fake, all these events are fake. You know, and maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but it was kind of a fad to be like that. That's what the truth community kind of came about for a short time. Try not to go with those kind of fads. Let's try and keep this culture consistent. You know, just because something comes along that sounds interesting doesn't mean we suddenly have to only be about that as a conspiracy culture. Because like I said, these fads don't just get a hold of individuals. They kind of move the whole movement with them. But then, before you know it, you realise it was all just about a bunch of hot air at the end of it. Or maybe it wasn't as big a deal as we thought it was. And it kind of damages the image we're going for. But just, if a new thing comes along that just seems so insane and crazy and we have to talk about this all the time, just be careful. Like, I'm not saying this is true, but maybe we've been going through on recently with the whole Tartaria stuff, you know, and the millennial reign of Christ stuff, if you want to go down that angle with it. The old world Antiquitech type thing, how all the history books are a lie, and it's fascinating, you know, and I admit, I really enjoy researching. I think it's really interesting, but it kind of just did take over by storm into the conspiracy culture in the past maybe 3-4 years. Slowly creeped in, then bam, it was just the only thing anyone was talking about, and the only thing that mattered for about a year. And if you weren't talking about it, then you weren't a real truther or something. But now it may be coming out that there are some truthers out there are saying, well, actually, is this not all just based on Anatoly Fomenko's work, where it was a pro-Russian, anti-Western propaganda type ideology that all history is Russian-centric in that respect, Tartaria? Could this actually be a part of a communist agenda to make the West disregard their own history? There's loads of angles you could look at this from, which actually makes the whole idea of Tartaria and thinking about it not seem as innocent as it first seemed. We don't know until all the facts come out just what a theory is, so be careful. And this brings me on to advice number 15. So 14 is conspiracy fads come and go, but number 15 is not all theories or movements are to be trusted. Okay, there is such a thing out there called controlled opposition. There are bad actors out there who create channels and have been paid to do so, or are part of a particular organization who create these channels with the intention of bringing people on board by saying a lot of truth and then leading people astray by sprinkling in the lie with the truth that leads them in that direction. There are bad actors in this. There are people out there who do not want the truth to be talked about. So some people are, unfortunately, as the term goes, paid shills. There are people out there who are not to be trusted. And the issue is we don't really know who they are. Okay, so it can create quite a paranoid sense of being in the conspiracy world, and paranoia and conspiracy kind of go hand in hand, don't they, stereotypically? But all I'm saying is you can be immune to it as long as you have a solid foundation, You know what my theory on that is. But also just be careful, This is why you shouldn't dwell on one thing so much. This is why you shouldn't let yourself become all about one particular topic and personality in mind. Because we're at war, right? We have enemies out there who are intentionally misleading people with false information to discredit us, to make us look insane, to make people not want to look into this information, because once it all comes out that they were talking lies, it does the whole movement a disservice. It discredits everything. It says, well, if they were lying about that, then how do they know everything else isn't just a lot of nonsense too? You've got to be careful. So this kind of brings me on to 16 as well. So number 15, not all theories and movements are to be trusted. Number 16, there is a difference between conspiracy research and conspiratainment. Okay? So there are people within the conspiracy culture who, like myself, we're here just researching as much as we possibly can to piece together the puzzle. Okay? We're trying to go as deep as we can into things. We speculate on things we know little about to try and iron out the creases in the stories we've been told, to try and get closer to a clearer image of the truth. And we're repeatedly doing this back and forth to the drawing board, deconstructing ideas, reconstructing them to try and get to the bottom of where they stand in the whole puzzle and the whole image. Those are researchers. We're trying to put it together clearly, and we're testing everything. But then there are some people out there in the conspiracy world who aren't that serious about it. And they're just there to speculate, laugh, and joke along about crazy ideas people are talking about right now. And that's conspiratainment. They're just there as easy listening for you to just lose yourself to, And this brings me on to number 17. Things like Area 51, aliens, flying saucers, crop circles, the moon landing hoax, false flags, JFK, or to some extent maybe cryptid type stuff, cryptozoology. All those conspiracy theories are basic surface level concepts, all right? Now, they are interesting and definitely a part of the puzzle, but they are shallow in terms of depth of how deep this whole thing goes. They bear little resemblance to the real, larger conspiracy that is to be known. Now, these are what are known as mainstream pop culture conspiracy theories, and you're not going to rustle any feathers talking about them. They will be openly talked about on mainstream sources. They will be on things like the Discovery Channel, like Ancient Aliens, you know. They'll be discussed at length on TV by big corporation channels. And they don't care if you talk about them. No one's coming knocking at your door or shutting your channel down if you're talking about these subjects. They don't care. Because it's not that as deep as you think it is. It's not as relevant as you think it is to the wider, deeper truth and how dark and deep this iceberg goes, you know. So if you're still stuck on things like cryptids, JFK, the Area 51, UFOs, aliens, you know, the reptilians, the moon landings, false flags, ancient aliens, that type of stuff, you're within the realm of conspiratainment, unfortunately. You haven't really done any real conspiracy research. You know nothing still. And this is an invitation to those people who are still there to dive deeper. Okay? You need to start getting spiritual about stuff, unfortunately. I know you might not want to. So number 18. Some concepts can easily send you into hatred towards certain groups. Okay, so if you're not careful about the type of truth you've started to learn about, you could end up being led down a path of hatred towards another group of people. All right, it's one main example I could come up with, okay, which may bring a lot of hatred towards me, but I say this in love, okay? It's for example, MGTOW, if you remember that movement, you know, men going their own way. Now, I understand why that movement developed, but I found a lot of people who went down that route became hateful towards the opposite sex and began to see them as the enemy. You know, and at the end of the day, we're all victims, and our battle is spiritual, not physical. You know, we need to stay in what's known as agape love, which is the type of love God has for his people. We need to try and emulate that. Okay, it's an unconditional love, and it's an understanding that we're all flawed and we're all victims in that respect. You know, it's forgiveness love. It's not the only thing. MGTOW is not the only example, but there are other theories out there and other things you can start to look into which can lead you into a hatred towards a certain religious group, for example, as well. And you need to just don't go down that route. It leads nowhere good. It does not lead anywhere good if you end up filled with hate towards a specific outgroup enemy you've now defined. It does not lead anywhere good. Okay. Now there are some people in this world who are evil, and we try and expose them, but you can't then group everybody else in under the same, tar them all with the same brush. It's a small minority of people from many groups and ethnicities and religious backgrounds who are involved with this conspiracy. It's not one specific type of person. So, skin color, belief, or gender or sex. So that if you're dividing by those type of lines because of a particular topic you've gone down, you're on the wrong path and you need to come back. Okay, it's okay. You've gone that way. It happens, but you need to come back. So 19 is no one knows when the end is coming. Okay, so let's repeat that one. Number 19. Nobody knows when the end is coming. Okay, is that clear now? When I first started with this, it was the end of the Mayan calendar 2012 and the world was going to end. There was going to be a pole shift of some kind. The Earth's polarity was about to spin and it was going to cause a massive displacement of all the Earth and the sea, and the Earth was about to reset or something. Right? I remember that. And then before you know it, when that didn't come to pass, it was all a sign and a signal that Nibiru is about to enter our solar system, and it's going to bring with it wormwood and death into the Earth, and it's going to turn the rivers red, and it's going to rain hellfire on the Earth as it comes close to us. And this happens every so often in a cyclical fashion. It's why the old world catastrophes happened in the past, etc., etc. And then when it's not that, someone's telling me, well, no, rapture's about to happen and the end times are about to happen, and it's about to be the apocalypse is about to start, as in the biblical perspective. And this person has given a vision about this date and time, but the time always comes to pass and it never happens. Okay? Do not get swept up in those things. The people who sell you the lie that they know the time of when it's going to happen, they are snake oil salesmen. Okay? They are putting you in a state of fear. They do not know. Right? And they will make money off your fear. They will sell books. They will make seminars. They will do all sorts to convince you that they know what's going on. But they don't. No man knows the time or the hour. Okay, so don't dwell on it. Move on. Switch them off. Get on with your life. That's all I have to say about that one. And the final piece of advice. Number 20. Stay sober. Okay. Now, when I started, I was a heavy cannabis user. Heavy. And it kept me for a long time in a hazy state of mind where I couldn't really think as clearly as I could now as somebody who doesn't do anything like that anymore. And hasn't for many years. Try not to drink heavily. All things in moderation. Try to get off things that you're addicted to, like nicotine or even the harder drugs if you've gone down that route. Try not to be dependent on anything that manipulates the way you act or think in any way, shape, or form, and this will become a lot easier. Okay? And you will think a lot clearer. And it just goes without saying, stay sober, guys. Alright? We can easily be fooled and sent down some dark paths when we're not of sound mind. And things like drugs change your mind. They manipulate it. They make it think differently. Don't forget that, right? And try to stay sober in these times. We're living in a time and age where you can easily be fooled and you need to be thinking clearly. So that's my last piece of advice. Stay sober. Right, so there's my top 20. I'm going to go to the chat, speak to you guys for a little bit, and then I'm going to round it up, okay, guys? I think I've talked quite enough today. Again, we haven't gone heavy into the clown stuff today. I thought it's probably best we leave that for my series. But today we have gone into more of the stuff I like to talk about, which of course is the interpersonal stuff, the meta stuff, the things that people want to hear talked about, I think, but don't often get the chance to discuss. And that's what this therapy session is for. So here we go. Let's see what you guys said in the chat. I'm just going to spin it up to the top, and then I think I will end the show in about 10 minutes or so, guys. Because I've been going on for 2 hours. Wow. Time does fly. Let's have a look. I studied art in college and actually had believed the professors who said the pharaohs were depicted so large so we would know they were the boss. Yeah, it's pretty basic. Let's move it down a bit. Richter's Grin, I'll look that up. Do not show them your hand if it's their card game. They might not like it. Not really here is out of here. Things hurt very hard for it all being an illusion. Well, yeah, is that true? That's true too. It feels pretty real, doesn't it? Winds of Change. Hi, Paul. Check out Britney Spears' circus tour from 2009. I will. Thanks for the tip, Winds of Change. One jewelry guy. Just for fun, I asked my dentist if she still promoted fluoride in her practice. And as a well-researched RN for 17 years, I disagreed with her. She ended up not treating me for my problem. Okay. Clown noses and clown shoes, big fashion statements. Yeah. Messiah calls us his sheep. What the heck is heck? Not sure what's going on there. Oh boy vibes. Cloned aborted fetal cells called natural flavors in common foods. I found the original document on heck. Ooh, that's terrifying. I'm 64 and I love the younger generation of truthers. Wonderful. I'm back. Glad to see you're still here. The Shills, Vibes, Research, Cinemix. Once you get past the fact checkers. I saw Cryptid when I was camping a few months ago. Cryptids are shape-shifting demons, in my opinion. Maybe. I might start doing a video about those soon, actually. I've had a lot of people contact me about Bigfoot recently. An obscure amount of people. It's really weird. Like, it came out of nowhere, but a lot of people are suddenly just bringing it up. So something must have happened in the truth of the world to make it a hot topic right now. Enough to make people randomly just start talking to me about them after 10 years of silence on the subject. So we'll see. But I might make a video about it. Almost everything in mainstream is controlled oppression. Yep. They might even throw tomato soup at you. We're going through a reset, not just of Earth, lol. I remember the frenzy with the 2012s. Oh, only God knows the end, yeah. No one knows the day or the hour, but we can discern the signs of the time. Exactly. Yes, amen, be sober. I like to watch for the signs, but I stick to the I know nothing. Yeah. Conspiracy Horrors was popular and loved long before he ever made the clown videos. Just saying, I think you should feel honoured that he liked your work and picked it up after you chose to set it down. Okay. You'll remember the 2000s, all computers will crash frenzy. Yeah, I remember that too, yeah. The Y2K panic. So much fear-mongering, 100. The build-up to the millennium was a great money spinner for prepper-based fear. Same app, not really here, I know nothing. I'm just saying hi, I've been here since the beginning, but my phone charger broke and I have 3% left on my phone, says Kanga Kong, good to see you. But my new one arrives tomorrow, my Amazon pad doesn't allow or show chat. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I'm glad to know you were listening anyway. Wonderful sermon. Love Bigfoot. Bigfoot is from the line of Esau, Red and Hairy. Yeah, there's loads of stuff on Bigfoot to go into. People have been sending me a lot of information again, and I've actually been going through a bit of a crash course myself. But yeah, there's a lot of terrifying stories of Indian tribes having to deal with them, actually, which are quite interesting, and it might be worth sharing with you guys. Other than that, I'm not sure I have much else to share with you today, guys. I haven't had a chance to go through some of the emails people have been sharing with me. And I do have to call it a night now. I've been going for 2 hours. But right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed my 20 pieces of advice there. Maybe I'll make a separate post about it so you can go back and see the pieces of advice in the community tab on my channel. If you would like that, let me know in the comments if you want me to post the list I've made. But yeah, they're my pieces of advice. You guys might have discovered your own over the years, which you might want to share with us. If you do, go to the comments and share with me what you've learned, okay? I don't know it all. I just know what I know, and I try and share it. But yeah, I'm looking at the chat now. Ears to hear. Can you please share your thoughts on Pennywise and the Stephen King worlds at another time? But yes, I can do. I did read it, the book. The ending is extremely questionable. I did actually read the Dark Tower series that he did as well, and many other short stories. My mum was obsessed with Stephen King growing up, so I read a lot of the same books she read. But the Dark Tower series was really interesting and a really dark world he created there. But again, I think another time. I don't have time to go into that now. But no, thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. I think we've had a nice little talk. It's been good fun. Again, don't take the conspiracy horror stuff I said too personally. I just shared. People ask me, and I shared what I think about it. But I don't have anything against the guy. But as a person, you know, it is what it is. We do our own thing. But again, I hope you enjoyed the meat of this video, which was the advice. I'll be bringing you more videos about the clowns soon. There's always more stuff to be discovered about that. You can always go deeper with that subject, and again, I like doing it. I'll keep you updated with what I'm doing with the book as I go along. I'll let you guys know if I do create a GoFundMe for that, or any form at all. If you do want to support me, regardless of that, Patreon's the best way to do it. Again, I've gained quite a few new patrons this month, and I am so thankful for it. And you guys have been communicating and sending me messages in the through the personal message app on Patreon, and it's been wonderful. Wilterfell, you've messaged me loads of amazing things about the festivals and carnivals in South America, and some stuff even I didn't realize was going on down there, which is insane, absolutely insane in terms of imagery and the artwork they create for their carnivals. And I think I'm going to make a whole separate video based on the stuff you've sent me, so thank you. But Patreon's a great way to get directly in touch with me. You know, I talk to all my patrons regularly. So if you do want to support me, guys, that's the best way to do it. But other than that, thanks for listening. And, thanks for being there in the chat. It's been a good one today. And as always, guys, God bless.